How's it going?
It's going great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Well, this is a tremendous honor here on the Road to Rock for the first time to welcome guitarist extraordinaire Dario Lorina. Dario, welcome to the show, my friend. How's everything going? You've got your perfect. We could do a podcast together. It's like one out of every 70 guests will have a mic set up ready to go. This is perfect, man. You got a great setup going here.
Yeah. Thank you. I do my Death Grip Academy stuff from right here, and I do a lot of recording from right here, so I'm set up.
Yeah, this is great, man. And it's crazy time for you. And it's got to be, it's like, do you feel kind of like at this point that a lot of all the hard work, it's all kind of coming to fruition here in the next month with the release of the new album? Everything's coming together. It's all kind of coming together.
Yeah, I'm psyched. I'm psyched for Dark Chapel getting rolling, and there's a few, a couple singles out now, but I'm looking forward to everybody hearing the full album, which is coming out February 28th. Yeah, looking forward to it all.
The new album is called Spirit in the Glass. It's out February 28th. And in the middle of listening to this whole album in the last couple days, the link from the publicist expired, so I didn't get all the way through. So I've like three or four songs I didn't get to hear yet because the link expired, and I can't finish it. But what I've heard, I love so much. And you talked about the singles. I want to start with the one you just released, the video and the single for A Hollow Smile. What a unbelievable riff. For me, I'm kind of getting like Deep Purple vibes to the song Burn. It really stands out to me. Like what this song, this video, this was a kind of a different approach and a different vibe than the first single, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about the whole album. Like, it's almost like the album is in sections of vibe because it starts one place and kind of takes you in a different place and ends in its own, like Bullet in Our Chamber, the last song, it's its own vibe. So it's Hollow Smile is a different feel than Glass Heart. But that's kind of how the whole album's going to be. It's going to take you on a journey through just style of writing and music. But yeah, I mean, as far as being Deep Purple, I mean, I love my heart lies in 70s, 80s kind of rock and prog metal and metal and all that. So I'm sure that's been absorbed and seeping out in ways like a lot of the music that I'm into.
Well, you talked about this album taking you kind of on a roller coaster. It really does, from kind of some dark, brooding songs and melodies to more in your face, straight ahead, hard rock. This album is really diverse. I mean, was that kind of the direction you wanted to go? Did you feel like that this was kind of an opportunity for kind of a lot of your influences and a lot of the artists you've been around and a lot of the things you've experienced sort of all come together in this album?
I mean, for me, when I sit down to write, I'm just kind of whatever's coming out at that time is what I'm demoing and writing. So I'm not really like pinpointing I want to go in this direction or sound like that. It's just kind of, this is what came out today. And when I got 10 songs, it was like, oh, I'm into all this. Then it was like, okay, album time. But I have heavy stuff. You call it heavy on the album, but I also have songs like Dead Weight and Dark Waters, which is more like singer-songwriter style, like Dead Weight stripped down, just piano and one vocal. And same thing with Dark Waters, is just acoustic guitar and vocal. And that's some of my favorite style of music to write. But then it's kind of bookended by guitar driven where my heart is as far as playing wise. Yeah.
Where do you feel like that you've improved on the most, as whether it be as a singer, a guitarist, a producer, a songwriter? From You've had a guitar in your hands most of your life. You've been a part of major acts since you were very young. Like, where do you feel like you've improved the most and over that time?
I mean, for me, I'm constantly working on, you're always, I mean, for me, I'm like always growing by just every time you demo a song, it's like that's a little bit of practice. And you're singing and writing and playing and arranging. Every time you do that, you're practicing it. So I'm just, through that process, I'm just kind of finding my path with it all.
Well, it's this has to feel kind of like a culmination for you, being a part of so many, being a part of Black Label, being a part of, Lizzie Borden, being a part of the things that you've done. Does this feel like kind of a creative culmination for you, that this is kind of all your career in a way is kind of led to this album in a way?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've been working on like Dark Chapel's been in the creation process for several years. It was a vision I had for a while,
Mm.
and I just felt like it got, musically what I was writing got to a point that I felt like, okay, cool, I'm ready to put this together and get it out there. Um, so yeah, I mean, just singing and demoing and working on songs, and I'm happy with where we are.
Just kind of talk about how you kind of recruited, found the rest of this sound and the rest of this band. Bobby, Mike, Lewis, like this is how did you find these guys? How did this all come together?
Yeah, so half of this album I actually recorded a few years ago, a couple years ago, um, with some friends of mine here in Vegas who are phenomenal musicians. And then the second half of it, when I was finishing the writing and putting it all together, I recorded just this past year in 24, and I completed the lineup there with Lewis on drums and Mike Gunn on bass, and now I have Dylan Dice playing guitar. So yeah, it's all these guys. Everybody's been Vegas based, which is where I'm at. So I knew the guys from here.
Talk about Vegas. I was going to ask where you live now, and so Vegas always seems to come up. It's like the new Sunset Strip. It's the new Hollywood from the '80s. What is it about Vegas that has drawn? It's either usually Vegas or Nashville. That's where a lot of artists are gravitating to. So what was it about Vegas that led you there?
Well, I'm from Boston, and my family came out here when I was a teenager. So this became my home base, and I've just been here. But yeah, a lot of people have been coming here, which is awesome. It's become like a new hub, and the city's growing with all these sports teams that are happening here. So it's becoming like it's an expanding city. But it's a great place to be.
I don't think, maybe I'm not 100% sure that you're a Patriots fan, Dario, but I feel like you and I can relate to each other. I'm here in Kansas City. Some days, we don't have a lot here. Some days, though, I feel like that scene in Scarface where he's just sitting there getting high on his own supply as a Chiefs fan here. So you're in Boston, maybe a Patriots fan, and the Patriots experience the same kind of hate from the world, and the walls were always crashing in, and it's always the refs, it's always cheating. But in the end, these are two of the greatest dynasties we've ever seen in sports, Dario.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Patriots, Bruins, Red Sox, Celtics, but I follow more like UFC and boxing and hockey
Oh,
than I do football or the other sports. So, but yeah, by default, definitely Patriots for sure.
sure.
Yep.
And things going on in Vegas. The sports scene is like exploding. You mentioned it. I mean, the Knights are there, the A's are coming. Like it's become so great, and like you got all the UFC and boxing events you could ever handle right out there. All the big ones are in Vegas, so you're in the right
Yep.
place.
Yep.
That is awesome, man. Well, I tell you, I got to ask because Black Label, you've done what, 3 albums with Black Label now? What's kind of on the horizon with Black Label coming up?
So there'll be some more stuff coming out. Next year we'll be back out rolling with Black Label. We do have a show coming up in May, in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. So Black Label will be doing that. And yeah, more stuff to come next year.
When Zach goes out and does this Zach Sabbath, this is something I thought would be like, oh, he does this once, like, and he's out doing it again right now. It's awesome. I saw him a few years ago. I love what Zach does with the Black Sabbath material. Have you got a chance to ever see that, or what do you
Oh
think?
yeah, yeah. And anytime they've come through either Vegas or been out somewhere and Zach's doing the Zach Sabbath, definitely go check it all out and hang out. But Dark Chapel actually just did our first shows last week, opening for Zach Sabbath in New Orleans and Little Rock. So that was a blast.
I was going to ask you about that. So, because I knew you had the album release show coming up in it counts Vamped, one of my favorite venues.
Yeah,
So I didn't know about the you have done a couple shows with that. So that went well, and then you got the one coming up at Counts Vamped. Everyone needs to, and Don Jameson I think is going to be there as well. So
yep, yep. Yeah, no, the shows in Little Rock, New Orleans with Zach Sabbath were amazing. And yeah, now we have March 1st at Counts Vamped in Vegas, which will be Dark Chapel's album release show. Don Jameson, comedian, will be opening up, and yeah, it's going to be a good time.
for those that haven't ever like attended an album release show, and you see this a lot now, like what kind of describe how it's going to be for you guys? Is it like, hey, just play the album in its entirety, the album's release, it's there for purchase? I know you got it, on your website that you guys can get. You can get vinyls, you can get like physical copies, which is amazing. There on your website, which is darkchapelband.com. So kind of talk about what that will look like for fans attending.
Yeah, we'll be playing the album in full. We'll be also putting in some other some other fun in there, and yeah, the albums will be there. Other things will be there for at merch, and yeah, we're looking forward to having a good time.
It's going to be in Counts Vamped is one of my is my favorite venue in Vegas. I just got to be honest. I love that venue. It has kind of a vibe of kind of a Hollywood Sunset Strip whiskey a go go type old. It just feels important. It feels old. It's a great room. A couple years ago, I came down for like Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer did like this night of Kiss, like
Yep.
80 songs. It was free. It was amazing, and that venue has always stood out to me. I mean, what a great place for you guys to do that.
Yeah, and I mean the venue's great. They're always bringing awesome acts in there, and bands are always hitting it. And it's yeah, like you said, it's just a killer rock club.
Yeah, it really is. And you've just your career has been, you've done so much and like so do you feel like does it kind of feel strange in a way kind of being a veteran of the scene now as you came on as this kind of white meat young up and comer and now you're kind of the veteran. You kind of have your own thing going. You have a lot of respect. Everybody respects what you do. And how does it feel kind of being now a veteran here in the scene all these years later?
For me, I just every day is a new day, and I'm just working on things on that day. So I'm just I'm happy to still be here doing it. And that's how I look at it.
Well, you worked with Janie Lane, who I'm a huge fan of. I'm a huge Warrant fan. I think that I mean the question I would ask you about him, about working with him, is I consider him to be in the top five of most underrated songwriters in rock history, and that's a bold statement. Having been around Janie, playing with Janie, like, is that something that you would corroborate? Do you see that kind of in his everyday style, just as far as how he approaches performances, writing, and all those things all encompassed? Do you feel like he was completely underrated?
He was a phenomenal songwriter. Um, so I loved a lot of that music, and especially like some of his latest stuff that like some of that unreleased Jabberwocky
Hmm.
material, and like that song "Stronger Now," which is such a beautiful song, which is one of my favorites. But a lot of that Warren stuff's incredible, and yeah, I mean, you kind of you absorb it without realizing, because I played with him for 2 or 3 years, um, and just from learning the material and performing it, and that absorbs in you. So from like studying the playing to the arrangement of the song to parts and the way things are written. But yeah, he was incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad that that experience had to be really tremendous for you, and I'm glad that you see it that way. So, kind of funny story. I when I was really young, I remember going to a friend's house, and this is like in the this is like in around 86. This is probably like 87, 88. I'm young. I'm like 4 years old. And I remember seeing this VHS cassette. I think it was their dad's had rented this, and it was Lizzie Borden, The Murderous Metal Road Show. And I saw, and I was like a kid. I was a sponge. I like noticed everything, and I loved horror. I remember seeing Michael Jackson's Thriller posters, and just like I don't know, I love that imagery. And so when I saw this, I was like, "Is this a horror movie? I want to know what this is." And it's almost like that cover, and later putting it all together, I became a huge Lizzie Borden fan, and that sort of was a gateway for me into rock, into metal, into theatrical rock, into theatrical like Alice Cooper and Wasp and so many others. That was a defining moment for me. So you working and playing with Lizzie Borden in the 2000s, in 2010 to 2014, just talk about what that was like, and just it's such a different artist to work with because when you travel, you're traveling with, torture devices and bones and axes and things like that. Just kind of talk about your experience because I am a huge Lizzie Borden fan.
Yeah, all those devices, whatever they are, they fit in a suitcase, so they're not too threatening. But yeah, no, that was incredible. I mean, those guys are still like my brothers today, and I mean, Lizzie's music is heavy and awesome, and I mean, guitar player wise, he's always had phenomenal guitar players. So when I was learning that stuff, it was a challenge, but it was also extremely inspiring. And yeah, I mean, we did a lot in those 4 years, and we had a blast.
Kind of talk about the dynamic of playing with another guitarist because I'm not a musician, so I like to ask these things and get a perspective. You playing, with Zach and Black Label, and then obviously you having a guitarist here in Dark Chapel. Just kind of talk about that dynamic and trying to find the right parts, the right solos, and how that works with another guitarist. And does that change depending on who you're working with? And just for you now in Dark Chapel, especially trying to, you're kind of your vision, your melodies, your everything like that. Let's talk about that dynamic of just playing with another guitarist.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. It just, the band is a wall and that wall is a team. So you're just kind of you're building the sound and you can do a lot with your guitar players and yeah, I mean I dig that sound. I dig that back and forth. You can do harmonies and yeah, it's a blast.
And it's great. And it really works, I think, in this album. And I kind of want to come back to that again. Go to darkchapelband.com where you can get it. You guys got like some really cool physical items here. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but I want to bring it up again because you've got like different styles of the vinyl, like really freaky, cool looking,
Yeah.
like of the record, and like there's like a purple exploding one. There's like a gold one. I mean, this is like what I think that we're learning is that people like my age and older, I'm 40, and certainly older, gravitate towards this physical stuff. They want this. They want to be able to bring it to a show to get signed. They want to be able to see it. They want to be able to collect it. So how important was that when you guys are putting this together to know that you were going to have an appetite for physical media and to make sure you do it right?
Yeah, I love that too. I love to be able to have vinyl, even though I wasn't huge into playing vinyl, but I dig like the artwork of, you know, the design of it all. And same with the CDs that, that was from my generation when I was coming up was CDs. But yeah, no, I dig it. And I'm psyched to have it for Doc Chapel.
Talk about the album cover. Talk about the cover art because to me, I'm like, I've kind of mentioned I'm a visual person. It's what really got me into music. And when I think about just I had an uncle that had all these records. And so this is 87, 88, 89. And I'm seeing just this pile of records and Maiden and Priest, and it's powerful. And this Dark Chapel, for the album for Spirit in the Glass, like it is something I can see on the backdrop at Vakken or at all these festivals. It's just something that really is evocative. It's powerful. It's got kind of the dark colors and in the dark realm, kind of like reminds me of maybe an Axel Rudy Pell style imagery. Like just kind of go what went into that and who created it? Was it you? Talk about the artwork.
Yeah. So the title of the album, Spirit in the Glass, which that's actually one of the lyrics from the second verse of All That Remains, the song on the album. And I just like the imagery that that phrase creates. So this imagery is kind of, to me, what that phrase creates. And I just sent ideas to a designer. His name's Gragoth, who's done a lot of work for me, and he's incredible. And he designed that album cover, and I think it creates a cool atmosphere for like when you're listening to the album, looking at the album cover. It creates an atmosphere for the music.
Yeah, especially that glass that kind of looks like an eye in the middle of it all, and it's almost like a kind of a gateway.
Absolutely, a portal.
Yeah, like kind of, I'm just a nerd, so I just come up with stuff in my mind that doesn't make sense. And sometimes I say it out loud and then I'll cut this part out if it's
Yeah,
totally stupid.
all
But
good.
like in I don't know if you've ever seen like Neverending Story, the Southern Oracle, and there's this like sort of gateway to this other world, like stuff like that really always stands out. So when I see something and I always kind of relate it to something that's like entrenched in my mind. And that's kind of what this does. And that glass and that eye in the middle and this portal, like I think that seeing that and being familiar with some of the lyrics now, I could really see this all tied together. And that's what to me, hard rock music's all about. It puts you in a time and a place in a mood. And that's what you created here. And that's what this album does. So I think thumbs up all around for this one. I don't know what else to say. It's great stuff, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think of that as like an amulet on the album cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm psyched for everybody to hear the whole album. We definitely worked hard at it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, February 28th. That's when the album's out. Go to darkchapelband.com where you can get it. You can pre-order a vinyl, a CD. Of course, I'm sure it'll be available on all the digital platforms as well. But we can't wait to see how this goes. And are you looking for some more live shows coming up post March? Like, what's that gonna look like?
Yeah, definitely. We're working on all that right now. So, yep.
Amazing. Can't give away too much. Dario Lorina, one of my favorite guitarists. Before I let you go, my friend, got to hit you with my final four. Drum roll, four quick questions. We'll have some fun with it. You give us whatever comes to mind. What is the first concert you ever attended and where was it?
If I remember correctly, it was Little Richard
Wow.
at the Music Circus in Boston, and I could be so wrong, but I think that that was it.
Well, we're gonna go with that because that's one of the best answers I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I love that. I'm like such a because like Little Richard, no one even realizes how much influence he had on hard rock and heavy metal music, and just not and forget the time and the rock and roll and the early rock and roll and Elvis and all that. But on hard rock, Lucille and all those songs were so powerful and heavy, and that's
yeah.
amazing. What a great wow. Okay, mine's Poison, so I think you win. Maybe not. Brett Michaels might be joining us soon. Never mind. What is the first album that you remember like buying with your own money?
That's also a tough one because my okay, what was the band that had the song Kryptonite? Is it Three Doors Down?
Down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big song at the time when I was like just starting playing guitar. And I think I was I was too young. So I think I had my mom like, I want this CD, and she called me from the music store and couldn't remember the name of the song that she had to ask the guy. This is, when you went to buy a CD at the store. And I played the riff over the phone for the guy. He's like, oh, that's Kryptonite. It's like, because I was just learning it, you know
That's
what I mean?
hilarious.
Yeah, and then she got the album for me. But as far as like with my own money, I can't remember that. I made a lot of mixed CDs, like
Right.
and stuff at the time. That was the thing. So yeah,
You're a little younger than me, but we ruined a lot of computers with LimeWire. That was my go-to. A lot of viruses and
yeah,
malware, but worth
yeah.
it. My collection just soared after that, and yeah, that is awesome. So that you must have been pretty young. That Three Doors Down was that was like in 2000 or so. So you were pretty young on that
Yep,
one.
yep.
Okay, what you could play lead guitar for one band in history. It doesn't matter living or dead. You're replacing the guitarist for one night. What band are you playing with?
Replacing the guitarist for one night.
Now we're not going to kill them or anything or diminish them. We're just putting you in for one night. They had a night off. Jimmy Page or Ace Frehley or someone has a night off, and you are replacing him for one night. What band are you playing with?
Well, maybe I could just somehow like go inside his body for a little bit and experience like Hendrix and what that was at the time when he was coming up, and then I go back out and back to me again. But yeah, that would be the guy.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think possess is the right word. You couldn't take on. You'd have to be in some form like mind, body, and spirit melding together for that to work, and that's tremendous. Okay, so what's the last concert you attended just as a fan?
Uh Man, this is a tough one to think of. Uh
Have you been to the Sphere yet?
I haven't been to the Sphere. I keep meaning to go. I got to see the Eagles there. It's been awesome
Yes.
stuff there. But yeah, you know what? I don't know off the top of my head the last one I went to.
Like, cause you go to so many, or like, oh, I don't know, it's been a while. It was
It's been a little bit.
okay. You've been
Yep.
kind of busy, I guess. So
Yeah, there's been some things going on. Yep.
we're gonna let that. Well, I mean, you've been to Zach Sabbath would count, Dark Chapel. You've played
Yeah,
with it.
exactly. We watched Zach play
Yeah, I
last week.
mean,
So, yeah.
well,
Yep.
you were on the bill. We'll count that. Dario, it has been such a pleasure. Best of luck with the new Dark Chapel album and on into the future, all the things that you do. Go to darkchapelband.com, and you can also visit your own website, which is dariolorina.com. So thank you so much, my friend. Best of luck. We'll catch up again soon. And hey, have a great rest of the month and on into 2025, my friend. It's been great. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you, man, for having me. Appreciate it. And
Yeah.
yeah, talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye.